Today's Thanksgiving, and I was just last night I had a dream about I was watching. Well, I saw. First of all, I gotta say this. I saw the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. When it came out, I thought it was whatever. I thought it could have been a lot better. I gotta say this. When it comes to biopics, and when it comes to historical movies, to me, I'm I'm nitpicky because one, I'm a history buff, and to me, it's like if you're gonna tell someone's story, if you're going to tell about someone's life, do it right, do it accurately. It's not that hard. And I understand the point. The number one goal of Hollywood is to make money and also, to entertain. There are some areas of people's lives where it's like it's a little drab. You got to kind of embellish it a little bit. That I do understand. But overall, like, there are some things that they don't need to embellish, or they don't need to really, I guess you could say they don't really need to, make it seem better than it actually was, because it was great by itself. But, anyway, I was having this dream, and in the dream, it was kind of like a flashback dream where I was just watching the movie. And then I woke up and I was like, I don't know, like, the first question that came to my mind was, who should be next to have a biopic? Like, like, who deserves one? And, I tried coming up with a list, and it was pretty difficult. So I'm kind of just going to, like, talk my way through this one. Because here's the thing. You can have people who deserve one, but it's like, okay, who would play this person? And here's the thing. I don't know too many actors and actresses. Like, I don't know names and stuff like that and appearances. But to me, it's like, okay, like, there's a lot of people that I think, like, let me just start with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. You can think about all this molestation stuff and this, garbage and, all of this stuff. But Michael Jackson deserves a movie. He deserves a biopic. Like, I don't believe that can be denied. Like, he was just that influential. Like, he was just that big of a star. You've never had a bigger star in the world, like, ever. Like, the Beatles weren't as big. Muhammad Ali wasn't big. No one was as big as Michael Jackson, and I don't think anyone ever will be. Like Michael Jackson he was an icon. He was, and there is no denying that at all. So I would say number one, Michael Jackson. But I want to ask you guys, who could you see playing him? Because I can't think of anyone. Because here's the thing. With Michael Jackson, you have to find someone, because Michael Jackson, I gotta be real, man, and I think most people would agree with me. I would never, ever, ever want to meet Michael Jackson. I wouldn't. Like, I would not want to meet him. He was just such a weird dude. Oh, and by the way, I think I've mentioned this before, but I think, actually, I don't think I have mentioned this before. But, call me a conspiracy theorist, but, Michael Jackson is alive. I don't buy that he's dead. Anyway, that's besides the point. Like, I could do an episode on that. But, he is, like, I can't envision who would play him. Cause one, here's the thing. You need someone who can dance like him. Then you gotta have someone who looks like him. And you can do prosthetics and stuff like that. But to me, it takes away from it. And you have the whole evolution that he has with his skin and stuff like that. And I don't know, but I do believe he deserves one. I believe you could ask like 100 people, and I believe they would all agree They love him, hate him, think, you may think he's a legend, you may think he's a child molester, but I believe everyone would agree that he should have a biopic. I mean, I know I keep saying this. Nobody in the history of the world was as big as Michael Jackson. No one. And I'm a history buff. Like, I'm telling you, I can't think of anybody. Okay, so Hitler is like the most recognizable person. He's the most recognizable person I think he was the most recognizable person in the 20th century. I think he received that, like, award. But, he wasn't, he had the fame. No one liked him. So, it just wasn't the same. But yeah, there's just nobody. I can't, you can try to throw a name by me. I could very easily debunk it, and you really wouldn't have a thing. So that's why that's the main reason why I think Michael Jackson should, have one. Number 2, I think, call it crazy. You can say whatever you like. And here's the thing, I don't know if Hitler has a biopic, but I think he should get one. Stay with me on this. I'll say this. I've read Mein Kampf. Okay? And here's the thing. You have to read books that challenge you. You have to read things that, that some people might be upset about. Now, I would say this. Don't read that book in public. Because just seeing the title and seeing who wrote it, oh my God, you're gonna get people spitting on you. But what I'm saying is, reading the book, you see his mindset. I'm not saying he was right. He wasn't. He was wrong. What he did was wrong. And what he oversaw was wrong. It was atrocious. It was disgusting. It was outrageously bad. Okay? Execrable. There's no word strong enough to even come close to to explain what he did. But when you read his book, you understand where he's coming from. You understand why he did the things that he did. Before reading it, you may have this negative opinion of him, which I still do have a negative opinion of him. But now I can be like, you know what? I'm not saying he was right. I'm just saying I understand where he's coming from. I understand his thought process in all of this. But I believe he deserves a movie. And here's the thing. I think he would do really well. Because here's the thing. He's a guy who we all pretty much agree is a horrible person and is easily in the top 50 people, top 50 of worst people to ever live. I don't think that can be questioned. So it's something that we could all agree on and be like, okay, here's a movie that we could all go see. I think he deserves one because he was such an influence in history. Think about it. Here's what you gotta understand. We shouldn't just do movies about people just because. We shouldn't just do movies about people that we like. We gotta do movies about people who changed the world. Can you imagine? Just imagine. Imagine a world without Hitler. Like seriously. I don't know if you know this, but there was a, Hitler one time was, I want to say he was 7 or 8 at the time, and he was like in a river, or like some body of water, and he was drowning, and, pretty much he was pretty much done. So like he was a goner. And so people were kind of, he was pretty much done, but a Jewish, I think it was a Jewish priest who saved him, but he was a Jew anyway. Adolf Hitler could have died at 8. And then, I mean, history would be totally different. I mean, just imagine that. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous to think about that. I remember, Hitler actually, I think more people know this, but Hitler wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be an artist, and he failed at that. Imagine if he succeeded at that. How different would world history be? How different would, I mean, just, there are so many things, like, he was just a huge influence on the world. Like, an enormous influence on the world. I mean, we're talking, I would say bigger, okay, maybe not as big, but Genghis Khan level. Like, Genghis Khan, he just had so many kids. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. Like, he changed the landscape of history forever. But, I would say Hitler, because he was just such a huge figure, and he changed the world. Yeah, but anyway, in terms of Mein Kampf, I would just say this. I would encourage you to read it just so you can understand where he's coming from. Because I hear people all the time talk about, or not hear it all the time, but I just will often hear people say, how could someone do such a thing? How could someone be that way mentally? I'm telling you, you read his book, you understand. I'm not saying you sympathize with him. I'm just saying you see where he's coming from. But, yeah, that's just what happened. And it's just really interesting, man. So you have that. And I'm trying to think who else. I don't think Bob Marley has one. Not a fan of Bob Marley. But in terms of the history of Jamaica and music, he was huge. I certainly believe that he deserves one. People talk about, did the CIA, kill him and stuff like that. And if you haven't heard about that, it's actually really interesting to think about. But pretty much it's believed that the CIA, there's one theory where, this is true actually. Bob Marley received a pair of cleats soccer cleats as a gift, because he loves soccer. That's one of their favorite things to do in Jamaica. And so he's doing that, and it's like, okay, well, it is what it is. So he puts on the cleat, and there's like a metal, it's kind of like a piece, like a small metal wire that just pokes him as he puts it on, and like causes him to bleed. And people think, some people think, oh, that's how he got, his cancer. That's how he got his melanoma and stuff like that. But it was pretty, it's a pretty garbage theory. Because here's the thing. If the CIA seriously wanted him gone, the easiest thing to do was to just go in and just if you're going to go in and try to kill someone, giving them cancer is like the most inefficient way. Like, if you want someone dead, you just send someone to go kill the person. Like, it's that simple. But, you have all of that. But I think, anyway, that was kind of a side tangent. But I believe Bob Marley deserves a biopic. Definitely. I mean, he wasn't just a great musician. His religious views, his political views. It's just a movie about him would be so interesting. His wife claimed that he raped her. I mean, he's an interesting guy. He died. Oh goodness, how old was he? 30. I know he didn't make it to 40. See, what he died in 1980 or 1981, I want to say. And he was 36. He was 36 because he was born in 1945. He was born when World War II ended. So he was born in 1945 and he died in 1981. So short life at, 36. But he, his legacy was huge. Pot smoking, just, he was a huge dude. And I just, I personally believe he deserves one. Would I go see it? Maybe. Because here's the thing, I'm not a big fan of his music, but he certainly changed history for sure. He was huge. I probably would go see it. I probably would. Just because he was, such an influence in history and stuff like that. I'm trying to think who else. Albert Einstein. I don't think I think there's a Netflix series on him, and HBO. I don't know, but there's some series on him that was just recently done. But I believe he deserves a movie. He was just so smart. How does someone... I can't imagine having that level of intelligence and having that level of intellect. What a smart dude. The year 1905 was just huge for him, where he published, 3 papers. And actually, I recently turned in a paper on, about Albert Einstein. And he was just so amazing. He just took off, and he changed the way we thought about science. I gotta be honest, his specific theory of relativity, I somewhat understand, but I gotta be honest, I still really don't get it. And I don't know if it's just because I'm, dumb, or if it's because I don't know. But he lived he died in 55. Born in 1879. He died at 76, which is, it's a pretty good age. He was, solid. He changed the world. I believe he deserves one. He won the Nobel Prize. I can't remember which year. I don't remember which year. But I know it was well after well after the year 1905. I'm trying to think. Not a big fan of her, but Oprah. I believe she deserves one. I don't know. Yeah, I would say she deserves one. A billionaire, Um, just a tremendous businesswoman, a lot of influence. I was talking to someone, and this was like many years ago, about her whatchamacallit, like if she would make a good president, and I said I don't think I said she'd make a good or bad president. I said she'd be a very interesting president. Um, I got to be honest. If she were to run, I certainly would not vote for her. But yeah, I certainly believe she deserves a biopic, because she's almost 70. I know. She's been around a minute. But she's got an interesting story. You know, where she's come from. Her being sexually abused, stuff like that. I mean, her story is pretty amazing. I'm not a fan of her show. I personally think she's overrated. But I certainly believe she deserves a biopic. I'm trying to think. Who else? Let's see. Who's that one guy? Oh man, I cannot think of his name. You know that guy. Why did I just had his name. Oh, Frank Sinatra. I believe he deserves one. And if he doesn't get his own, I think it should be, Sinatra and the Rat Pack. I believe they should have a movie. And by the way, I don't think anyone really knows where that name came from. The Rat Pack. But I've heard, I did a little research on it, and one version says that they came home from like drinking one day and they just looked absolutely horrible. And one of their wives said, "Oh my God, you guys, you guys look like a pack of rats. Like, that's just how bad they look." And I think that's kind of where the name came from. That's just one version of the story, though. I don't know. But I believe he certainly deserves one. Personally, I think he's overrated. When you listen to him sing, he sings off key. Or not off key, off beat. He's like, I don't know, it's like the weirdest thing. It's like, I don't know, some people like it. I find it, here's the thing. I think he's entertaining. I certainly would have appreciated his stuff. He lived a fairly long time. I think I want to say he died. I think he died in 99 or 98. But he lived a pretty long time. I know he was at about 80 when he died. Probably a little bit older. But he certainly deserves one. He's, not just his singing, but his acting too. It was I don't know, kind of interesting. But I think I don't know. It's just so hard, man. Like, I just don't know who would play him. Like, I gotta say this. The only person I can think of right now, of someone who might be able to play someone. So I said Oprah. The first actress that came to mind was Angela Bassett. I think she could do. I think she could do it. I don't know. I like Angela Bassett though. But yeah, I just anyway. But in terms of Frank Sinatra, I can't think of I can't think of anyone else who would play him. And it's just so hard to do because there's a lot of people who deserve whatchamacallit, deserve biopics, but it's difficult. I'm just trying to think who else. Let's see. Maybe. She's grossly overrated. She wasn't a good person. But Mother Teresa. She just was not. I did a project on her in the 3rd grade, and she was not like if you study her, she was not a good person. She wasn't she would withhold food and medicine from the poor that she was helping. I don't understand why the Catholic Church calls her a saint. I don't get it. If you understand her beliefs and what she thought, it was like, wow, how can you call this person a saint? She believed that it was the job of the job of the poor to be poor. She believed that was the calling. She was like, if you're poor, it's because you're called to be poor, which is just the stupidest thing that you could eat. I don't even know how you could think that. But I believe she deserves a movie. They're not gonna say the truth about her. But I certainly think that she deserves one. She was born. Wow. She goes back. Goodness. I think 1900 was when she was born. No, a little bit after. I'm trying to go through my trying to have quick access to my history timeline in my head. She was 1910. I know she's from Macedonia. Yeah. I know she was born August 26th, 1910. The reason I remember that is because my brother, his birthday is August 25th. And I remember as I was working on the project, I was like, oh, hey, Mom, guess what? Mother Teresa was born, day after Sam. And she was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so that's the reason I remember that. Wow, I can't believe I just recalled that. But she lived a pretty long time. She died 95, 97. I think she died in 1995 or 97. So she lived a while. But she did a lot of work. I think she deserves a movie. I'm trying to think who else should get one. I'm not keeping a list. I'm not keeping a list. Like, I'm not having a number or anything like that. I'm trying to think. I would probably say Ben Franklin. I think Ben Franklin. And he did a lot. He was a polymath, really. He just did so much. In terms of science, there's debate about him, stealing his ideas from other people and taking credit, or I should say taking credit for other people's stuff. But he certainly believes I certainly believe he deserves one. Um, let's see. Born in, wow, I know this. 1706. And then he died 17. I know he didn't make it to 1800. 1790 sounds right. I think he died in 1790. And so, he did that. I certainly think he deserves one. What didn't he do? He was, postmaster. He's the reason, the United States started it. He lost his title from Britain. And so he started his own in America. He was a diplomat, politician, philosopher, scientist, a writer, Freemason. One thing that people need to know about the founding fathers, and I've said this before. The founding fathers, they were not Christian. There's this belief that America was founded by Christians, and the founding fathers were Christian. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Hamilton, Franklin, Thomas Paine. These guys. John Hancock. They weren't Christians. They were deists, but they were Freemasons, and Freemasons are not Christians. But they go back quite a ways. The Freemasons. I want to say the Freemasons, they got their start. Oh wow. I'm trying to think. What did they do? Let's see. I'm trying to think of. Anyway, it's not important. It's not important. But they just don't really have their thing. I think I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's not important. But they have this belief. Anyway, there's this belief that the founding fathers were Christians, and they weren't. They were deists. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, they made fun of Christians a lot in their writings. They wrote letters to each other all the time. In their later years. By the way, they actually used to, hate each other. Not hate each other, but they respected each other, but they didn't like each other. But it's just so interesting to think about. And it's like, well, this is kind of interesting. But yeah. Anyway, I believe he, and that's a whole episode in itself, on the truth of who founded America. And those guys founded America, but they weren't Christians, and America is not a Christian nation. That's just a that's just not factual at all. But yeah. So I would say Ben Franklin, he certainly deserves one. He was, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Lincoln has quite a few he has a few biopics. I'm trying to think of other people. I can't think of too many others right now off the top of my head that certainly deserve one. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a woman who deserves one. People say Michelle Obama. I think she's gonna get one, but it'll be a while. I think it's gonna be I'd say it's gonna be at least 20 years before she gets one. But I think she's gonna get one. Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think Marie Curie has one. I don't think she has one. I'm trying to think. Does she? No, I don't think so. She deserves one, definitely. Um, yeah, I don't think she has one. So, okay. Yeah, I would say she deserves one. Um, she died, pretty young, you know. It's unfortunate those who are working with, radioactive materials. They didn't really know what they were working with. Like, they kind of knew, but they didn't realize the dangers of it. That's why you see a lot of those people, they just died early. Um, I think she died, I don't think she made it to 70. I think, yeah, I think she died like just under 70. Um, but she was, Polish. I think, yeah, she was Polish, and then she was naturalized in France, but she is Polish. But she certainly deserves a movie. Um, she was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. Um, I think she won twice, actually. Yeah, I think she won twice. Yeah, so she certainly deserves one. Um, Man, she did a lot. I mean, she was the first woman to do like quite a bit. Um, I think she was I think she was the first woman to become a professor at some university. I don't know. Um, but she did quite a bit. I mean, she should really have one. Um, and that's really all I can think of at the moment. This episode was actually kind of fun. I didn't really I don't know. I thought this was kind of fun. Hopefully I can like go over this list again. I'll probably like listen to this and try to like take their faces and just put them next to actors and actresses and just see what it is that they, who could play these people. Cuz I do believe all these people should deserve. I mean, here's the thing. Okay, I got to say this. If I could only pick 3 that out of my list that should get one. Michael Jackson, Hitler, and man. I got quite a few ties. Einstein. I would say those 3 for sure out of my list deserve, like, if I could only pick 3 and I was only allowed 3, I'd have to say that these 3, like these 3, if biopics are never made again, those 3 got it. They got to have one. They have to. I mean, yeah, you may say Hitler doesn't deserve one. I believe he does. Just do. I mean, no one likes the guy. No one likes Hitler. Like, no one. But his impact on history is just too big to be ignored. It is. I mean, you just can't deny it. I mean, you can't reasonably deny it. Michael Jackson, world icon, biggest star to ever exist. And I mean, cause remember, he was big before social media was a thing. Cause he died 2009. Wow. I can't believe it, man. It's been a decade since he died. That, like, it's still crazy to me. But he was huge before social media was really, big and prominent like it is now. I mean, you can pretty much go to any country, show a picture to someone and be like, and you can ask them in their language, do you know who this is? And they will say Michael Jackson. He's the most surefire guy you could show anybody to, and they will know who he is. Like, he's got to have one. Albert Einstein. I mean, just one of the smartest people to ever live. I mean, he changed the way we saw, we understood space and time. And I mean, it cannot be denied. Like, he's just that good. And he was just that smart. So anyway, that's my list. I hope you guys have a tremendous Thanksgiving. Be sure to think about what you're thankful for. Don't just eat and watch football and, sit around. But, actually take time and think about, okay, what am I grateful for? Think about the past year. Think about, how far you've come, and be thankful for the small things. Be thankful for your health. Be thankful for your ability to walk, to talk, to move, to think. Because be thankful for that you have a home to go to. Think about it. You see people walk around and they just, some people they're sad to see. You see some people that are amputees. They can't move. You see some people that are paralyzed from like the neck down. You see some people that are just not in their right mind. You see some people that are sick and just in a very bad state. Just be thankful for what you have. You don't have to believe. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to. But just be thankful. And understanding that, like, it could very easily be different. It could very easily be different for you. And I think you just have to acknowledge that and just take time to be thankful. Tell people that you love them and that you appreciate them. And anyway, have a happy and wonderful Thanksgiving.